I'm on a quest to find music and art. Supporting local talent is the place I start. Yeah, this is our culture, the place to be. Games, books, arts and crafts and jewelry. This the guardians of the geekery. 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 And now for today's episode of Guardians of the Geekery with your hosts, Matt, Carol, and Joey.
Woo! Guardians of the Geekery! Back at you with Mr. John Hartness. Oh my goodness.
Wait, this isn't the Logan Paul show?
No. I want Mike Tyson's hand to come out and go poof. Oh wait, that's Jake Paul. Is that Jake Paul or Logan Paul?
That's Jake. I think that's Jake. Logan's the one. Logan's the one who's actually turned into a decent wrestler.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so Jake's the boxer. Never mind.
Yeah, Jake's the one who's going to get his absolute face kicked in by Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Oh, and Tyson will be like, yeah. And Tyson will be like,
I don't know. I just beat up the guy. They paid me millions of dollars. I whooped his ass. It's fine. I'm bankrupt again. Can I do another Scooby-Doo show?
Oh, man.
Please don't kill me, Mr. Tyson.
So if you don't know, this is John Hartness. Yeah. From Falstaff Books, one of our dear friends, in spite of himself. No kidding.
Oh, good.
And,
very serious publishing industry professional. TM.
So this is John. So you were starting to say Guardians of the Geekery.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah. So we've got this thing called the Geekery Market. Falstaff Book is usually at it.
Have they not been at one?
Yes. And you've been at every one, haven't you?
I think so. I'm pretty sure that even back at its old name, I think I was at all of them.
Yeah.
Multiple locations, multiple events tied to it. It's always been just an awesome event for us as a bookseller. And also, I have lots of nerdy friends who aren't into books, but they're into other nerdy stuff, and they love coming out. And it's the only time I've sold books to some friends of mine because they don't go to cons. That's not their vibe. But because it's so close to the holidays, and even norms, they'll have like a geeky kid, and they know they can find something for their geeky kid there, even if they don't have any idea what they're shopping for. So yeah, no, we've been at every one. It's an auto sign up as soon as the apps come out.
Yes.
Yeah, we try hard not to miss it.
And we'll be honest,
puppy.
like even on this past 2 years layout, it just says Falstaff Books because we just figure out where we're going to put you before we start. Well, and to be honest, John, how many cons and events do you probably do a year with Falstaff Books?
We anywhere between 20 and 30 on an average year, from one-day events like the Charlotte Comic-Con, we'll have one of those coming up in August, to the monster that is Dragon Con, which is an entire week of my life. So yeah, we do a couple dozen a year, and a fair number of them are close or are right here in Charlotte. The thing about the Geekery Market that is different is that it's so much handcrafted stuff and so much bespoke geekery stuff that it's very different from a Comic-Con. You know, we do 3 Charlotte Comic-Cons plus 2 Heroes Con events every year, and Con Carolinas, all of those in Charlotte, and we're still never feeling like, well, we've tapped the market, because the crowd that's coming to the Geekery Market is very different. It's always a different set of people that we may not see more than once a year.
Yeah, we're kind of in a
So from a
gateway
purely
con.
business standpoint, yeah, absolutely. From a
We're
purely financial standpoint and from a pure business perspective, it's a similar enough event to be in our wheelhouse, but it is different enough from everything else we do that I love it.
yeah. So when we were first looking for our new space, because clearly after the February 23 event, it was very obvious
were
we had
taxed. Yeah,
outgrown blown the doors off of that one. And when I told
Yeah.
John about the space and said, "Would you like to come see it for the second time?" He was like, "Yes." And he brought his pickup truck and he was there. And when he came in the third room, he just was going, "Whee!" all around the
Yeah.
space because
It's
it was just
such a good
incredible.
space for what you guys have built that it's it felt almost identical to the venue for the Western North Carolina Comic Con that I've done a couple times up around Asheville, which is a giant event. And still, it's big enough to have so many different things. You can have music, you can have vendors, you can have food, you can have, last year you had some Legos, some
Yes.
tables where people
Really
could play
good.
Legos. So
Yeah.
you've got that interactive component. No, it's a great venue because it's big enough. And while not being in the city of Charlotte was a point of concern for everyone involved, not being in the city of Charlotte also means that you can have a venue that size and not cost $1 million and charge 25, 35 bucks to get into a 1-day event
Yeah.
because you just couldn't do that if you
No.
were
Plus,
in
it opened
Charlotte.
us up. It opened us up to a lot of new people from Concord and Salisbury and Winston-Salem because it wasn't the hour and a half to 2 hour drive to get to Charlotte. It was like 45 minutes to an hour. And that's
Yes.
doable.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it sounds like, doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it's a lot more doable for a day trip.
Well, and
And for
a day
people
trip.
living in Charlotte, it's for me, I live on the east side of town, so it's the same as going to Pineville.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that for those people who are not used to Charlotte events, we have 2,200 square parking spaces. So you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about getting there. And then the stress of if you're coming from a more rural or suburban area of having to fight the traffic to find a space, which you can't do with some of the really uptown events. That's a nightmare in
Oh my
itself.
God.
You're already sweating
I
and
went to a
stressed out
Magic
before you get
Con.
there. Yeah.
I went to a Magic event in Atlanta at the Georgia World Congress Center. And now I've spent a lot of time in Atlanta. I'm fairly familiar with the city. I've been to the World Congress Center for events before. Still completely got lost trying to park. The first day I walked 3/4 of a mile because I tracked it. It was 3/4 of a mile from my car to the building where the event was. I walked through the entirety of the World Congress Center to get to where I had to be. And then the next day I had a slightly closer spot, but it took me 45 minutes to park because I got lost 3 times.
Yeah.
So
this is not a problem at this venue at all.
No.
Big sign saying
No, you
what it
just
is. 2,200 spaces.
go straight up 49 and it's right there on the left. And I mean, literally from the house I grew up in Western York County, South Carolina, I could make one turn onto Highway 49 and one turn into the parking lot and be there. I wouldn't necessarily suggest it because that would be a 2 hour plus drive from there, but we'll see,
But at least
Hello,
when you get
kitty.
there, it's free to get in. You just have to bring a couple cans.
Yeah.
So, it's just you pay for parking, which is like $8. So you pile your car full of your friends, you come in the door, you donate to a good cause, and then you get to hang
you
around.
shop.
So,
You shop for the holiday.
And
shop for the holidays.
$8 for parking is nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously,
Uptown
I
is
went
like
to a
15
show at the
to 20.
Blumenthal.
Yeah.
I went
Go
to a
ahead.
show at the Blumenthal. I was there for 2 hours and it was $25.
Wow.
And I still got lost trying to find my car again. That might be
No
a
to
me
John.
problem. But
John needs
See,
to
what you
go
need are a
there.
bunch of
yeah,
bumper stickers on your car so you can't lose it.
Or an air tag, you know. Let's be
AirTag might work better since it's a lease. I think that maybe putting bumper stickers all over my car is probably a poor call
They can
because
get
I'm
those
giving
off
it
easy, right,
back.
Matt? Matt used to sell cars. They'll take them. They just scrape them off and wash them. But
Oh,
But
yeah.
then they'll charge me $25,000 for it because
it's all good. But listen, you know, we are always so happy that you are part of Geekery Market, but you have also allowed us to be part of an event you have coming up in July. And I want to give you an opportunity
yes,
to talk about that. So,
we produce a writers conference called Saga. You can find it online at sagaconference.com. And it's we all go to a ton of conventions, a ton of cons that are fandom run, where if you go to a panel, you've got 4 or 5 people, they have an 50 minutes to an hour to discuss a topic. Well, that means that you're getting about this deep into the topic because if you've got 5 people and 50 minutes, each person theoretically gets 10 minutes, except you got intros, you've got outros, you've got questions. You might have 5 minutes to talk, and that's if you're not on a panel with me where I'm running my mouth the whole damn time. So, what we do at Saga is designed more like a professional development conference that you may go to for continuing education credit at your job. It is 90-minute sessions with one speaker presenting a deep dive onto a topic. So, for example, we've got Nicole Kurtz from Mocha Memoirs Press, and she's going to teach short story writing. Nicole is a phenomenal short story writer. She's been accepted into anthologies everywhere from Falstaff to Baen Books and everywhere in between. So we've brought in experts on specific topics, and we have a craft track and a business track. So if you are trying to get published or you're planning on self-publishing your first book, you can go to the craft stuff and learn how to get better at the art of putting words on a page. If you're already established, but you're not making as much money as you like, and let's be real, most people aren't making as much money as they want. Otherwise, we would be living on an island somewhere, having half naked people fan us with palm fronds and peel grapes for us.
We can't all be Neil
Look, I have
Gaiman.
exactly. We can't all be Neil Gaiman. So then you can go to the business track and learn from people like Gail Martin, people like K.E. Mayer, our marketing director. Learn to advance yourself on the publishing and business side of things so you can make more money. Because this is a professional development conference for genre fiction writers. Another reason we came up with it is I present at writing conferences all the time. And I'm usually the one science fiction or fantasy guy there. Maybe there's two. And it's a lot of memoir, it's a lot of poetry, it's a lot of historical fiction, and it's very split in its focus. We are designed to drive information on commercial genre fiction. There's nothing else like it east of the Mississippi. The only thing that's close is Kevin J. Anderson's Superstars Writing Seminars, which is in Colorado Springs every February. Well, I don't want to fly to Colorado Springs, and I certainly don't want to do it in February, unless Kevin wants me to come teach, and then we'll have that conversation. But I wanted to create something that was more accessible to people on this half of the country. And that's what Saga is. And this year we're partnered with Congregate, which is a sci-fi fantasy con. And if you buy a ticket to Saga at sagaconference.com, you get a ticket to Congregate as part of your purchase price.
Oh, cool.
The inverse does not apply
Yeah.
because Saga is a professional development conference, so it's a $250 ticket.
Right.
Congregate is less because it's a fan-run con like Con Carolinas, like Atomicon, like RavenCon. So it's much less expensive to attend. So we throw that in. That way, if you learn all day and you go to dinner and you come back, you're like, I want to see Mikey Mason play. Well, you can do that because you have a ticket to that event too. And Mikey will be there thanks to the Guardians and the Geekery market. We got together and we made that happen because we all love Mikey.
Yes.
And I make money off Mikey. So let's go.
Yeah. Geekery market and Falstaff. I mean, Guardians too, because we're all part of that thing. But yeah. And that's another part. But I will say, so I volunteered at Saga last year with Wanda, and we got to do the registration, so I got to meet a lot of people. And but then also I got to jump in and help teach one of the classes with you. We punted
because we rebuilt the entire schedule in 2 hours on the morning of the show.
Yeah. But the fun thing for me was when we did the mixer for networking, and I got to meet some of the different people or talk to them, because I had met most of them at registration, but I actually got to talk to them. And there was a gentleman there that had driven down from Baltimore, Maryland. He was not an urban genre writer. He was of another. And he said, and he had been to other professional writing conferences, and he's like, this is so great. I'm already planning to come next year. I'm bringing my wife. She's a writer too. Other writing conferences, no matter what the area, don't have all the classes and stuff that this had for a second year or third year event. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
But it was really kind of cool.
It's great to hear. And
yeah,
one of the things I've always said about Saga is my goal for the event is to grow it into a convention that I'm not qualified to teach at.
Yeah.
I want to build an event where everybody who's teaching is better than me.
Right. Well, and
because that's better for the attendees.
That's what Carol and I were actually talking about in our last podcast was, we know that Carol makes some amazing crafts, but she doesn't have time to do it because she's doing 47 podcasts. But that's another point.
I need to
but I enjoy
my time a little bit better.
I enjoy crafts, but I know that's not my strength. My strength is organizing things, organizing events, doing that. That's where I can pitch in. So yes, I feel you. I'm right there with you. I love having an event where I know that if I applied, I could not accept myself into the geekery market for my skill set.
Yeah.
So, because that's not what I'm good at. I'm good at, running around and telling people to move their stuff off of the aisles,
making the event happen.
and do all that stuff, or taking your banner and putting it on my scooter and riding.
No, you can't have 6 more inches of space. Everyone else is using the space too.
Yes, yeah, that's one of the things too, and and I think that's one of the cool things about Saga too, is that it wasn't a bunch of writing panels that you see at a con. These were classes, like you said, and there were classes on how to do your taxes if you're a writer, and how to, like you said, it was really the practical side and the crafting side, like you said. And people were coming out of things, and as we were sitting there going, how'd you like the class? They were like, I'm blown away. blown away. So if you are a writer
Yeah,
or you
it's
want to
something
be,
we've
go-
always had to be a little careful about how many things that we program in a day, because it can be like drinking from a fire hose. It can
Yeah.
be just more than a person can process. So we do have evening social events and networking events to help people learn that aspect of it, because a lot of people suck at it.
yeah, yeah,
Um, they're just terrible at networking because they're afraid of networking. And when we create a safe space for them to do that in, they can get over their fear and the stigma of networking.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. How about we just have a drink and hang out?
yes,
Let's hang out. And
yeah,
if you hang out with people you like, then that becomes your network.
right. And there's, and if you're
So,
an introvert, find your extrovert. If you're an extrovert, find your person that's going to laugh at your jokes. And kind of go from there. So,
yeah.
all
And the
right.
fact of the matter is that most writers are introverts. I'm an introvert. People don't believe me. I just fake it. And then I come home and I collapse for a day or two.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can only fake it for little tiny bits of time, and even that drains me.
Worst wing
Well, I did come
woman
into this
ever.
the
Oh, I
degree
know.
in
I
theater.
am the worst wing woman ever. I am. Thankfully, I don't have to do that anymore because you're married. So
I know. Phew. No thanks to you, my friend. No kidding.
that's
No, but like that's why Carol and I made a good con couple, like, for events. We're a good con partnership because she knew all the stuff where, I was a little later in life when I realized how much of a geek I really was. And but so we could sit at a table while I was promoting Geekery stuff and she was promoting Con Carolina stuff, and I could talk to the people, but I could also be like, Carol, what's that? Oh, that's from such and such a show, or that's from such and such a book, or whatever. And she was the knowledge fount and I was the mouth. So
it worked.
it worked.
We make
It
it work.
worked.
Darren Kennedy and I have done the same thing at many conventions because there are pieces. I don't know anything about Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Darren's pretty well versed in that.
Yeah.
Darren doesn't know anything about magic cards, and I have 20,000 magic cards floating around my office. I was actually working on tweaking a deck when I realized, wait, don't I have a thing tonight? Oh yeah.
This thing.
So this thing.
Yes. And then, I
But
don't
yeah,
think
we're really looking forward to the Geekery market. We will have some new stuff that people won't be able to see at the other conventions we're doing over the summer. We release new titles all the time. I'll have a new book out. My book, Unforgiven, will be released by the Geekery market. And that's my first high fantasy novel that I've put out in a long time. It was part of a Kickstarter that I did with Darren and Patrick Dugan, and that's going to be, it will officially launch late this summer, but it'll be on our table at the market. And that may
Good.
well be the first local event we have it at.
I was running out of things to buy at your table.
Carol.
Good.
Oh, well, we got you now, boo. We got you now.
He's sucking you in. Oh god.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, don't
now
worry.
the pressing question for me is there going to be a sequel to Amazing Grace?
Someday. Not by this November. But yes,
That's
I want
okay.
to write one. Yeah, I want to write one. Eventually, I will finish the 9th Black Knight book and put that series to bed, and then I'll be able to go on to some other things. And Going back to revisit Grace is definitely something I want to do. I love that character. I love that setting.
Yes. I just need
But mining that, the dead old lady detective agency.
yes. Yeah.
Yes. So those are based on real people. That's my mother and her two best friends. One of them is still alive. And when she came to our house after my father died, I said, Miss Fay, did you know I put you in a book? She said, what? Really? I said, yeah, I killed you though. She said, you killed me in a book? I said, no, you had to be dead before the book started. And she just kind of stared at me.
Backed away
I'm
slowly.
and she had no idea what was going on. But because she's not at all a geek, she doesn't do science fiction, fantasy, horror. She doesn't read any of that, any of the stuff that I write. So she had no clue what I was babbling about, which is fairly typical for a lot of the people I grew up with. But yeah, I just went to her 90th birthday party a couple of months ago. So she's still alive and kicking.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed that book. I needed a palate cleanser after struggling through another book, and I knew that I would enjoy your writing because I've been addicted for a while. So, but yeah, so I finally got
And that
around
one's
to
nothing
it.
like
Yeah,
that one's totally different
it's
from your
nothing
other work.
like my Bubba or Harker stuff.
right.
It's a completely different tone to the
Yeah.
book, which writers write. The idea that we can only write in one genre is silly. I mean, I
Yeah.
publish AJ Hartley for God's sake.
Yeah,
And he
I mean,
writes everything.
he writes everything, but I think that's a great quality to have. Greg Russell, who does artwork for us,
Mhm.
there was an author online yesterday that was asking, that she wanted to get a Frank Miller style comic book type thing. And I was like, listen, you need to go check out Greg, because Greg, if you want a comic book style, we did a comic book style graphic for the Geekzilla. You want more of a steampunky, Day of the Dead kind of thing. He did that sepia tone thing for a different gala that we had. And he's done cartoon style, he's done whatever, he's done realism, and he's worked for NASA
Yeah.
doing stuff. And he's a very chameleon like commercial type of person, because he can write in whatever, so that you're not getting too tired of one type of writing, so you can palette cleanse and then go back and write something else in a genre you've already
Absolutely.
conquered. So, but
Yeah, absolutely. And, it just lets you as an artist stay interested in your own work.
yeah. Well, John, thank
I
you
don't
so
want to
much.
write the same thing any more than I don't want to write the same thing all the time any more than you want to read the same thing all the time.
Right, exactly. But with that, I hear, I don't want you to be like George R.R. Martin, where Carol has to poke you with a stick to finish your next book so that we can
I'm
get
giving
you.
up. I'm totally giving up. We're never getting it. We're not going to get it till he's gone.
So we should
I don't think
probably.
you're ever getting it then.
I have a theory. They're done. He's waiting until he's gone, so he doesn't have to listen to the fans bitch.
I wouldn't blame him. After looking at what happened with Charlaine Harris ending the Sookie Stackhouse series, she got death threats because people didn't like who Sookie ended up with.
Yeah. Which,
Nah.
incidentally, I read all 13 of those books. It went on 6 books too long, but I read all 13 of those books, and that was telegraphed from book 1. That was telegraphed like Ron and Hermione.
Yeah.
It was telegraphed. So I don't know why people were like, "Oh my god." No. So, but yeah, I heard that. I read that, and I was like, "People, it's a book about vampires. Just chill."
Right? I mean, if I had George R.R. Martin money, you'd never get any more books out of that series.
I'd just be drinking in New Mexico, and just
y'all been
wait
kind of
till I'm
rude.
gone, and then you can publish whatever, here's the books, publish them when I'm gone. So I don't have to listen to you people.
Right.
So where can they find
he's got screw you money. He doesn't have to do anything.
He doesn't have to do anything, yeah. So where can people find information about Saga?
Yeah.
Where can
Saga-
people
They can find it at sagaconference.com.
And where can they find all of your books?
They can find all of that at falstaffbooks.com. We have a Shopify site that I can't remember the URL for, so go to the Falstaff Books website and click the link. You can pre-order new stuff. You can order signed stuff. Let me see if I have. Oh, where is it? You can order our awesome This Machine Kills AI Falstaff Books branded pens, which you also can get with any order, any pre-order for a convention of over, I don't know, something. I don't remember what I said on the form. But if you buy enough crap, we'll give you pens. And if you want signed stuff, we've got signed stuff. We've got t-shirts, we got the whole nine. So check out our website at falstaffbooks.com. I have an author group that's John G. Hartness Books. We've got a Facebook group that's the Misfit Toys. So you can check us out. And you can come and you can pick up a lot of our titles. If you're local to Charlotte, you can pick them up at Park Road Books over in the Park Road Shopping Center. They carry a good selection of our stuff. And look at your local science fiction and fantasy con, because if it's in the southeastern United States, odds are I'm going to be there. So come find us under the big gay book sign.
And if you want some tips, tricks, or just general falderall and trivia, make sure to follow TikTok with Falstaff Books as well, where you get little snippets of John all throughout your week. So
you do. Our marketing director follows me around with a video camera, and every once in a while she's like, no, stop, back up, say that again. I wasn't recording. Yes, ma'am.
But you can definitely get some tricks from the trade while you're at events. So definitely check that out as well. Well, John, as always, thank you so much for being part of our podcast today. Hopefully we'll have you back right before the Geekery market too, so you can announce any other titles that people may want to reserve and pick up at the show. Makes great Christmas presents, people. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I could
absolutely.
Use Christmas
So yeah,
presents.
anytime you want. And if you're giant fans of the podcast, Carol will post her wish list for
right.
Falstaff Books in the show notes for that episode.
That's
so
right.
you can buy them and we can send them straight to her, because I'm a giver.
Yeah, you just gave me more work to do. That's what you gave me.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, thank you, John. We'll talk to you soon.
That was an episode of Guardians of the Geekery. Thank you for listening. Check us out at guardiansofthegeekery.com and stay tuned for more content.